All right, everybody, let's get to it. It is a session you've all been waiting for. That's right. Let's sit down and talk about guns. It's all about guns. In fact, self-defense is only about guns, right, Thad?
That's it.
Self-defense is 100% about guns. Is this even legal to have here? Oh, that's why we live in the US of A, isn't it? Is that why all my exes live here? I am that terrifying, I know. He stole your deck.
Copyright.
Aren't you proud of him? Yeah, so proud of him. Oh, okay. Well, that's a great idea. But Nicole, I want to see it. We are all pointed there and not all the fun stuff. Just so our friends on the live stream audience can see why I said, is this even legal? Shall I even be standing in front of that? I trust you, Thad, sometimes. Okay, so we talked a little bit earlier about underground networking, right? A lot of questions about guns. I know somebody we could ask that. But what else is in the room that we can ask questions? What other pigs? Aquaponics. What else? 401k. What else? Tribe automation people raise their hands, right? Okay, who does real estate here? Raise your hand. 3. And I know there's a 4th one who's not in the room who I have a question for. Who does audio work? 1, 2, 3. I'm a maybe on that. I do some. Jack and I can both edit the heck out of some MP3 voice tracks, can't we? Yes, we can. Okay. What other skills would you want to know about? Software development, hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cryptocurrency. Whoa, Jack, you got some work to do. Also, Hatch's got a beard, and Charlie wasn't happy about that. Why am I asking all of this? Because we're networking. It's part of our underground network, and an important part of underground networking. Sometimes you need code words. What if I was at... Oh, man, we got to mute this, don't we? We got to talk to the squirrel. Oh, can you mute that from the internet? Because this is an in-person thing. Do you mind doing that, Hatch? Now you can say you know what talk to the squirrel means, but you don't say it. You don't tell that story. You don't retell it unless you're here. That's the important thing about talk to the squirrel. Okay, the next session is Thad Beckendorf, whose name I've been saying wrong the whole weekend till now. I looked at the TH and I Germanized it. That's literally what happened.
That's fair.
Yeah. And Beckendorf, I mean, tactical versus tacticool. And I think we might be able to get to see some of these things up here. So let's give him lots of time. Let's go.
All right. Thank you. So my name is Thad Beckendorf. This class is tactical versus tacticool. It took me a long time to figure out exactly how to present this. I've been coming here pretty religiously since 2010. We've seen a lot of things over the years where advice probably needed to be given prior to a purchase. And this is one of those times, right? So we're going to go ahead and get into it. A little bit about me. I'm a first sergeant in the United States. In years, I've done everything from unit armorer to Patriot Master Gunner to hand-to-hand combat instructor. As you can see, just some of the photos, I've also competed in multiple marksmanship competitions, had hundreds, if not thousands of hours of training, marksmanship civilian as well as military. Okay. So, little disclaimer before we go into this. A lot of this is going to be personal opinion. Now, what does my opinion mean? It means everything to me. It's my opinion, period. What is comfortable and what works for me may not work for you. The question we ask ourselves is, what do I need? Notice the key word need. The key word is not want. The key word is need. What do I need? What am I purchasing it for? Some of the questions you need to ask yourself: what is my budget? That's a huge factor. Huge factor. What do I want it for? What's the most likely use of the weapon? This is where you can kind of go down something called a rabbit hole. You do not want to ask yourself, what is the most dangerous and unlikely case scenario that can ever happen to me? Because if you're thinking that way, you're dead already. It really doesn't matter if you have an M4. Unlikely case scenario, that is the rabbit hole. So what is the most likely case scenario? Does it feel good in my hands? So, thank you. All right, so we have a conversation every year, right? So, Jack, your preferred method is 1911, correct? Yep, modified weevil stance. Okay, and why exactly do you personally like the 1911? Because I've been shooting since I was 8 years old. And it feels right. Correct. It feels right to him. My dad and I have been shooting since our 1911 style model. It feels perfect in my hand. I am able to quick draw and figure out my target in a heartbeat. My dad hates them. Hates them. He needs the double stacked. He likes the XD. It's just his preference. Our shooting caliber is probably just on par with each other. However, we have two completely different mindsets on the subject. Okay, so the most important thing whenever you're looking for a firearm is, how does it feel? Does it feel natural? Does it feel like an extension of your hand? Because that's what it needs to be. You can look on the counter and you can see it doesn't mean that it's going to make you a better shooter. It does not mean that it's going to feel good. It does not mean it's going to make you invincible. It just doesn't. If it feels right in your hand, that is the most important thing. Okay? Are the rounds easily accessible? Okay, so as you can see at our table of goodies here, we have a multitude of different rounds. I can tell you that some of them are extremely hard to find. Extremely hard to find. Now, why does that matter? I can't practice as much with those. I'm not as good with those weapons because I don't have as much hands-on experience with them because I can't find the rounds. That you have that round commonality, that it is available to you, especially with the price. Include the price of the rounds with your overall purchase. So just because your budget's $1,000, don't purchase a weapon for $9.99. You still need the ammunition that goes with it. Okay? And is it reliable? Ensure that you're doing your research before buying a weapon. You're not just walking into a gun store, taking the owner's word for it that it's the best thing on the shelf and you're going to be great with it. Do your research about the company, the reliability. Ensure that you do that. So the questions here on the bottom are actually some of the questions while I was at the gun store last week preparing for this class that people were asking out loud. Does it look cool? An individual was trying to buy a 50 cal. They did not have one in stock. So he said, hey, we can get one next week. This is the brand. And the first question out of this kid's mouth is, does it look cool? And just like any good salesman, hell yeah, it does. It's the coolest thing you'll ever see. All right, how many rounds can I fire in a minute? Just why? Just why? Will it make me a better shooter? That is actually another question where I actually had to pull someone aside and talk to them a little bit. Will it make me a better shooter? No, it will not. I did. Knife hand came out strong. Get out. Is it custom made? That really doesn't matter. All right. And what is the most unlikely case scenario that we talked about? Okay. So we're going to go over some myths. Common myth. I need the biggest caliber. No, you do not. Majority of individuals cannot handle the higher caliber weapons that they purchase in the first place. All right. So proper training and more precise shooting will allow the desired result without spending money on the highest caliber. Proper training is what it's all about. Training fundamentals first and then moving into your more advanced. That's how you get your speed. That's how you get your accuracy. Okay. Another common myth. I need the newer version. Is there anyone in here? It's okay. You don't have to be embarrassed. Is there anyone in here who has a weapon and the newer version of it? Yeah. All right. So the newer versions of weapons still require the exact same amount of marksmanship skills and training. They absolutely do. The more training you have on that one specific weapon, the better you will be. Period. Okay. Another one, better optics and more expensive weapons will improve my shooting ability. Need all the help we can get. So understand one thing, advanced optics still require your basic marksmanship fundamentals. So if you start out on iron sights and you are extremely accurate on iron sights, when you move up to some type of optic, you will be even better. If you start with the optic themselves, you don't have those fundamentals to start out with. You're going to look like you're shooting a 12 gauge from very far away. Okay? So these are all things to consider whenever you're thinking about purchasing a firearm. Okay, so most common uses. I have 3 most common uses. Hunting. So that bad boy right there, that was my rifle for hunting. As you can see, this is it. My overall goal was to kill as many hogs as I possibly could. You're welcome. And I did. Okay. So going down the line of my purchasing of this, I went with an EOTech sight, my personal preference. Why did I do that? Because they're the best. No, I'm not a salesman. All right. So the reason I did that is because of sight picture. Sight picture, sight picture, sight picture. I wanted to be able to stalk my prey and be able to raise up no matter where my face was, and the target was the exact same, no matter what. Calm down over there. Okay, so he's clearly got stock in EOTech. All right, also, I have retractable sights. Why do I do that? Because the first time I went out hunting, the batteries on the EOTech died. It happens to the best of us, right? Okay, I upgraded a few items on here just to make it easier to carry and lighter. I also added the retractable bipod for stationary firing to be more precise. Why is the suppressor on there? I don't like Ear Pro. Okay, I'm already deaf. That one is Tacti-cool. I'll give you that one. It's polite, right? So that was the overall goal of this. This took me 6 months of research to figure out exactly what I needed for what I wanted. Okay, so some of the questions that I asked myself: what am I hunting for? The answer was hog. Will I be static or on the move? Both. That's where the trick comes in. So you have to modify your weapon specifically for what you want. What distance will I be shooting? I anticipated between 50 and 150 yards. Hence the EOTech with no magnification. And then how precise does the shot need to be? I just want to hit it. I want to hit it and kill it. And whatever's there, I'm going to eat it. Does that make sense? So, overall price tag for an AR, can anyone take a guess? It depends, right? They're so customizable, right? So just on this, just after looking at it, does anyone have just a guess? 1,600? So let's say without the suppressor. So I'm getting 15, 1,600. How long ago was it bought? 8 years ago. Total, $11.99. Why was it like that? Because I did my research on what I needed specifically. I did not add additional things to this weapon that were not relevant to hunting for pig. That's it. Does that make sense? Okay, so where it gets dangerous is, well, what happens if a deer comes out at 300 yards and I want to take it out? Oh, now I need magnification in a high wind, in the dark. I mean, here's the thing that can get you in trouble when you're really looking at firearms. Every firearm has a specific purpose. The second you try to multitask that purpose over and over again, it defeats the original purpose of the weapon. And it costs a lot of money. Not worth it. Okay? All right, so personal safety. Pictured up here is another weapon that's up here. That is my personal safety weapon. Did a lot of research on the company themselves. I did a lot of research as far as the weight. I fired it before I purchased it. And that was the best fit for me personally. All right, so am I needing to conceal? The answer was yes. So that as a slim officer model holds one less than a full-size 1911. So there is give and take. Do I need additional round capacity? No. Because honestly, if I fire all those and I miss, I'm dead. 20 more rounds is going to do nothing at that point. Will the weapon recoil continuously fire on target? So what this is talking about is your caliber. What caliber can you handle while shooting quickly and maintaining on target? So I'm sure a lot of individuals have 9s. I'm sure a lot of individuals have 40s, 45s, all the way up. Me personally, I felt more comfortable with a 45 for personal safety reason. That was my personal choice. It may not fit you. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with 9s, nothing wrong with 40s. Me personally, a lot of research went into exactly what I needed. And is ammunition easily accessible and affordable? So whenever you start getting into the weird calibers, that's where it really comes into play. Such as this one that we're going to talk about, right? The FN57. I know. So the 5.7 is possibly one of the greatest weapons that I've owned. I love firing it. I do not love searching for the ammunition. It's not a fun time. It's an amazing round, and that's why I have it for home protection. It was not my home protection a year ago when I lived in a different house. Okay, so I had to completely reassess my plan as a homeowner and as a family man on how to protect my family the best. So a year ago, we were in a one-story home. We didn't even have the sheetrock. It was basically wood, a very thin piece of wood that was painted. Okay, these bullets will go through a bulletproof vest. I'm fairly certain they were going to go through those walls, at least 3 of them. So at the time, my home defense weapon was a shotgun. Once we moved into a 2-story home and created a new personal protection plan and home protection plan with the family that they're all aware of, it allowed me to use the FN57 specifically. Why did I choose that? 20 round capacity, it's light, I can have it damn near anywhere, and it's extremely accurate. Those are the reasons that I chose that specifically for home defense. And I'm okay with it going through those walls. The way that our home is laid out, we already talked about it, there is a plan in place. So these are all things to consider when you're thinking of home protection. All right, just like Jack, home protection. You do not want anything to hit Your dogs. You have to think about that when you create your plan. And the plan is extremely important. Such as, who here, and it's okay if you don't want to raise your hand, who here carries your weapon loaded all the time? I personally don't. Why? Because I have trained since the first day in the Army that it is not loaded, and no matter what, when it comes out of the holster, I am racking it. That is the first thing that I do, and it's part of my draw. It's part of my timing sequence. It's part of everything. Even for the short amount of time that it was loaded, whenever I would train, I still racked it out of muscle memory, and now I have one less round. But that is a personal preference. That is not me telling you don't keep it loaded. If that's the way you train, that's the way you fight, period. Does that make sense? Okay. So, can I maneuver with the weapon? That one, absolutely. It is great for maneuverability. Have I practiced and developed a plan? Absolutely. Okay, easily access the location of the firearm, and does my family understand the plan? If you have a family at home, they need to understand the plan for home protection. They need to know where to go and what to do. Everyone understands that, right? Okay, extremely important. All right, so I have some basic marksmanship fundamentals, and the reason I have these are the things that you want to do before, let's say that you want to go get some high-priced tactical lessons or some advanced marksmanship, something. You want to get into 3-gun, you wanted to get into something more advanced. These are the things you can do on your own. Please do not pay someone $100 an hour to teach you how to pull a trigger. Please do not let that happen. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. A lot of these things, you can do dry fires, you can do blanks, you can do snap caps, you can do dummy rounds, whatever the case may be. But you have to rehearse over and over and over. If you're an open carrier, ensure that you're rehearsing, pulling it out, aiming, and see how long it takes you to get on target. Pull the trigger. Okay, for your steady position, same thing, regardless whether it's rifle, shotgun, pistol, you have to have a steady position. And you have to be consistent with it. It's got to be the same every time, as best you can. Sight picture, we talked about that with iron sights versus lasers versus anything else. Your sight picture needs to remain the exact same thing. Consistency. Every time you draw and you come up, it should feel the exact same. Okay, breathing. Breathing plays a huge factor, especially whenever you're firing precision rifle or pistol. Same thing with trigger squeeze. So, Marine Corps here, you already know. If trigger squeeze is off, what's going to happen? You're going to jerk it either left or right. And every time someone's going to come over there, trigger squeeze. Every time. Makes you feel great, doesn't it? Trigger squeeze is off. You shot left. Okay, and same thing with breathing. Ensure that your breathing remains consistent. Whether you're going to fire on an out breath, in breath, hold breath, doesn't matter. Do the same thing every time. Do the same thing every time. Okay, if your breathing is off, you can fluctuate from high to low. Trigger squeeze is extremely important. It changes from rifle to pistol. It does. For pistol, you want to use the fingertip. For rifle, you use the first groove of the finger and you pull directly to you, not out and away. Slow. Let the weapon surprise you. Everyone tells you that every time, right? Let the weapon surprise you. And I guarantee you, practice with that and it will. All right. Consistency. Everything must be consistent. So even if you're at your house, if you have 5 minutes in front of the TV, unload your weapon, put a dummy round in, and draw over and over. Okay. Or if you have a bore sight, a laser bore sight, they cost about $9 in damn near any caliber. You put it in there, the laser shoots down the barrel, and it shows you exactly where you're aiming. As long as you leave it in there, the laser will remain on. So you can literally go against the wall over and over and see how long it takes you to get on target. And no matter what, just consistency, you will get better. And you're not paying someone like me $100 an hour to be like, hey, let's see if you can do this. Let's get you better. Advanced optics. Let's go. Tactical. So save yourself some money. All this stuff can be done at home. Correcting stoppage. So what is stoppage? That is a malfunction of a weapon. Who here has had a weapon malfunction on them? I think damn near everybody, right? So understanding how your weapon functions and how all the parts actually do their job will help you correct stoppage quickly. It absolutely will. So, biggest thing, whenever you're talking about a semi-automatic, gas operated or blowback operated or even recoil operated, there are 8 major functions of stoppage, or 8 major functions of the weapon itself: feeding, chambering, locking, firing, unlocking, extracting, ejecting, and cocking. Those are the actual functions. So whenever you think, oh, well, the round is actually just stuck in there. It's stuck. I fired it. It's not coming out. That's failure to extract. Now I know what to do. If you can actually understand where the extractor is, what it does, it will help you correct the stoppage quickly. That is immediate action to correct the stoppage or malfunction of your weapon so that you can get back in the fight quickly. So understanding exactly how your weapon works. Do not be the individual who comes in after 2 years of owning their personal defense weapon to show everyone how cool it is, and there's still packing grease on the inside of it. Take it apart, learn how it works, clean it, and shoot the hell out of it. The guns are made for shooting. That's just what they'll do. So, correcting stoppage, right? So these are the items that I was talking about: feeding, chambering, locking, firing, unlocking, extracting, ejecting, cocking. These are the functions of a semi-automatic gas operated, such as your AR-15, your FN SCAR. Basically everything up here has the exact same areas where they can have stoppage. So by understanding how those work, taking apart, understanding, you can correct it very quickly and get back in the fight, especially whenever you're talking about a life or death situation with your personal defense weapon. That is the last thing you want, is for that thing to malfunction on you when you need it the most. So practice those. All right. So we're going to have a quick comparison here. I wanted to tell y'all, I wanted to be as direct as possible because there's a very good chance that we can go down a rabbit hole one way or the other. I wanted to make this as direct as humanly possible. Quick, direct. I know I'm the last thing stopping us from partying like it's 1999. So we're going to be sure that we make it quick. So we have a comparison here. I have an FN SCAR 17. I also have an AR-10. I built both of them. One of them, I was extremely paranoid when I made it. I had just come back from a third tour overseas, and I went down the rabbit hole. I went down hard. Okay, so the AR-10, they were both designed essentially starting out for the exact same thing: hunting. Hunting, that's it. Just a hunting rifle, no big deal. So whenever I did the AR-10, I wanted a hunting rifle 308. That's what I wanted. So I chose the AR-10. Holds 20. I already know the weapon system itself because I work with them in the military. So hey, it's good. I put the bare minimum. That is literally the bare bones, cheapest thing you can get as in an AR-10 model. It doesn't even have a dust cover. Super cheap. Didn't even know they made them like that, right? Extremely cheap. I put a bipod on it, a grip, and a very cheap illuminating scope for hog. Now we move on to the SCAR. I started out in my head saying, you know what? I just want something a little better than the AR-10, just a little better. Just a little bit. So I need something lighter to where I can carry, because that one's clearly just for stationary because it's heavy. So I want something light that I can walk around with. I can shoot hog, deer, whatever I want, really. So I ended up with the SCAR 17. It's extremely light. It's very reliable, has a lot of cool bells and whistles. And I said, you know what? I really want to reach out and touch something. So how about an ACOG? Now, that is a very rare 308 ACOG. It is gigantic. And the reason I went that route is I still want my peripheral vision. The whole reason I spent that much money is because I did not want to lose peripheral vision. In my head, it made total sense. Okay? And obviously, you know, I could also use that for home defense because I was single at the time. You know, someone comes in, it's gonna go down. So, obviously, when you think about it like that, I absolutely need to fire this thing from the hip. Right? Problem solved. Come into my house, why don't you? But then I'm thinking, you know, this very expensive scope is a little low. Maybe I just need to have another top reticle on top just so I can do it quickly, right? And obviously, you know, if I do take it hunting after I murder the person that broke into my home, I need the retractable bipod so I can lay down on the ground for those really long shots, right? And you know, the trigger feels a little stiff. Let's fix that. Yep, that's it. Timony trigger. Absolutely. You just had to do it, right? You have to do it. And then I realized once I put this gigantic scope on there that I was scraping my knuckles every time I charged it. So I need a new charging handle. I absolutely need it. And then I realized, you know, the scope is heavier than the gun. And the whole reason I got the gun in the first place was to be light. So you know what I'm going to do? Instead of just getting a different weapon or a different scope, I'm going to replace the entire internal bolt carrier and firing pin with titanium. That, by definition, is tacticool. This is tacticool, right? Now, laugh at my misfortune, why don't you? So, you'll take that misfortune? So last Sunday, while preparing for the class, I wanted to have a slight demonstration, right? I took all this stuff to the range. My tacticool and my, tacticool. Took them all to the range. This is at 100 yards. Top two targets are the AR-10 and the SCAR. Can anyone tell me which one's which? Which one's AR-10? This one? You're incorrect. Can't even tell the difference at 100 yards. They do the exact same thing.
Which one did you look better doing?
You know, that's the real question. I was the talk of the range.
Which one did the guy in the other lane come over and say, "Can I shoot that?"
That, you know what? That's fair. That's fair. That one's quite a bit louder, obviously. And same thing. So we talk about basic marksmanship. We have a 30-30. We have the AR-15 that's sitting up here. And believe it or not, that is the FN-57 pistol. Yes, it was stationary at 100, but it is 100 yards for a pistol. So, biggest takeaway from that specifically is, don't fuck with me. Biggest takeaway is, on a budget, using your head, making common sense decisions, you can absolutely afford something that does everything you need it to do. You don't need to go above and beyond. Because once you start adding too much and doing too much, you're compromising the integrity of what you wanted it for in the first place. Okay? So, what we're going to do, I have a little bit of Price is Right action. I would like 2 volunteers, first timers. Just go ahead and raise your hand. Right here. Red beard. Right here. If you can come over here. So, that's right. Come on down. Sure. So what I want you to do, I want you both to look at the SCAR. I want you both to look at this. I want you to take about 10 seconds, and we're going to Price is Right this. I want you to guess the overall cost of everything on that weapon.
What year was it purchased?
So the year that this was purchased was 8 years ago. 8 years ago. All right. So tell her what you got.
46.
46?
48. 4,800.
4,800?
He knows how to play the game.
He knows how to play the game. $1.
601.
All right. So every single thing that I mentioned in this weapon, everything combined, everything you see here, $7,814. All right. So you win. You want 2 mags? You want 45s? Pick one. There you go. Consolation. All right. 2 more volunteers. First timers. Right here. Right here. Come on up. That's true. All right. So exact same thing these 2 individuals did for the AR-10. I want you to look at it, and I want you to give me your best guess as far as how much everything on there costs together. Once again, purchased 8 years ago.
Remember, you just heard an $8,000 price tag.
That's
$8,000. 8,000.
$8,000.
1,000 is the number that we were.
All right. You got a number in mind?
1,600.
1,600?
800.
$800 total?
Sure. Yeah. I know it. Yes.
You got it. Okay, the total for that is 1065 for everything on there. 1065. Same thing. First place. Which one?
45.
All right. There you go. Enjoy yourself. Thank you for participating. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So once again, we're talking about a $6,000 difference between two rifles that shoot the exact same. That's insane. At 100. Okay. Okay. Fair, sharpshooter. Okay, so once again, some of the things that we covered. We talked about the most likely case scenario. We talked about basic fundamentals first. And we talked about not going down the rabbit hole of the most dangerous case scenario causing you to spend thousands of dollars. We also talked about saving money by doing a lot of these drills on your own. So hopefully this does help you out. The reason this is going to go so quick, I do want individuals to have a chance to touch the weapons to actually see what feels right. If there's something up here you've never seen before, if there's something you're interested in, or if there's something you're thinking about purchasing, I'm pretty sure we have something similar to it on this table. I'm fairly certain. Okay, so go to any questions that you have.
Come on up. Do we have anything online? Anything from the room?
You like that? I had to add it. I was going to see if anyone caught it. So-
Okay, I'm not seeing questions, so people can get to the part you wanted to get them to. It looks like
Fantastic.
they want
Thank
to
you
play
all
with
for your
the,
time.
the things. Oh yeah, there is one question. One question.
One question?
With what's up there, what you may have, what's your favorite rifle, favorite pistol?
Thank you for diversifying that. Most people would say favorite weapon. So, for different reasons, my favorite rifle, honestly, would be the M4 style rifle, the AR-15. It is very versatile. I'm very knowledgeable on that one specifically, and it feels super comfortable because that's what we carry in the service anyway. So I have a lot of training on that. I actually need to do more training because they just changed the qualification standard in the Army to make it harder, which is actually really cool. It's a lot of transitions. So, but that would have to be my favorite rifle. And then as far as a favorite pistol, I have to say I have two. I can't say one specific. I know. So this one here is it's a family heirloom. This one here is an actual World War I, World War II, 1911 used in combat. It was purchased by my great-grandfather by the Department of Defense. I still have all the paperwork from the SecDef actually signing it over to him, left to my uncle, and then left to me. So this thing, 5-digit serial number, extremely old, and just, you can't put a value on it. As far as the other favorite pistol, I would have to say it's going to be the FN57. It's just the coolest thing I've seen. It really is. It kicks like a 22. It holds 20 in the mag. It's lighter than any other pistol up here, and it's extremely comfortable. 5.7. So I do have some of the rounds that you can actually see whenever you look at the weapons themselves, so you can tell the difference, as well as how much the mag weighs fully loaded, because that does a difference. Whenever you go to a gun store, they're going to hand you the weapon, and as soon as you hold it, you're like, oh, that feels great. And then you put a fully loaded magazine, and we're like, wow, this is not the same as the one. I'm pretty sure they switched them on me or something. This seems heavy. This seems unbalanced. So it is important for you to actually feel how much a fully loaded mag weighs inside the weapon. It does a lot to the balance of the weapon itself.
What's the price point of that FN?
Okay. The question is, what's the price point of the FN?
So when we originally bought these, they were right at $1,000. I'm fairly certain. I know. I'm fairly certain in the past 6 to 8 years, they've gone to, I think, close to $1,600. Close to $1,600.
Which is how much the ammunition costs.
Yeah.
And that's if somebody selling them and they're carried at the gun store that you want to get them from too.
Right.
It's pretty rare to find them.
It's extremely rare to find them. And the dangerous part about them is the sheer velocity of the round itself. It's a miniature 223. It's the same ogive, the same bullet as a 223. It's just a smaller cartridge, which causes it to go extremely fast. So it will go through bulletproof vests. There is no recoil. It's just a dangerous little round. Very dangerous. But it's fun to shoot. Okay. Any other questions?
Do you need a special license for what?
No, you do not.
Okay.
You do not.
Worth pointing out, though, you do need a tax stamp
For the suppressor.
several of the items up there.
Yeah.
For the suppressors, for the little short ones.
You absolutely do.
Anything California compliant up there.
Nothing California compliant on this table. I'm fairly certain every box that I have for these weapons says illegal in California.
How do you typically carry the FN?
How do you carry the FN? It would be great if you come to me and ask the question in the mic.
How do you typically carry the FN, and what's your preferred holster for the FN?
So for the FN specifically, I will either have it in my vehicle, or since I'm in the military and can't have a gun on base, I will have it in my home, and that was the home protection weapon. My preferred holster is Blackhawk. The reason I like Blackhawk is because it does have the safety dial, and I'm used to immediately drawing up and pressing the dial to unlock it. I enjoy the lock in there because whenever I take it out of my pants and put it away, the biggest thing for me is safety, especially if I keep it somewhere like a nightstand or something for home protection to where my kids cannot get it out of there. Even if then they would have to figure out how to rack it, because that's part of my procedure as well, immediately to rack it whenever it comes out of the holster.
If I missed this already, I'm sorry. How many pairs of night vision goggles and how much body armor do I need to hunt coyotes?
Yes. Oh, 100%.
I think you need a recording of rabbits dying and a really good portable speaker.
The cheapest
system.
way that I did it was actually by flashlight, because at the time I couldn't afford nods. At the time, because I'm rolling in it now. No, honestly, I'm married, so I'm poor. But in the single days, yeah.
Being in Texas, we need to clarify his question. Is he talking about the four-legged coyotes or the transporters?
He said it could be either one. So the biggest thing you have to think about whenever you're thinking about night vision, honestly, is you do not have depth perception. Your depth perception goes out the window. So not only is that going to affect the way that you shoot, but also how you walk and everything with them on. It's very difficult to do a lot of things with night vision. It's great to see at night. It's cool whenever you look around, everything's very clear. But once you put a scope or anything else in front of your face, your sight picture is no longer the same, because you have something sticking way far out and your head is further back. You're also probably canted to the side. So that's just something to consider whenever you're hunting with night vision. So it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Looking like a man who ran into a tree.
Yeah.
It ain't the movie.
Yeah.
It ain't the movie.
So if I was going to do that, would it be better to put a scope, a thermal scope, or a night vision scope? Specific. If I
Yes.
put it specifically night.
Specifically
rifle or
night
dealing with things
hunting,
at night.
absolutely. 100%. Because once you factor in the night vision on your face, it's a whole different world. You're going to have a problem walking through the woods because you can't tell how far you're stepping.
All right. Thank you, Thad. What he's going to do is let people come up here and interact with the props and
Yep.
ask more questions. So
Absolutely.
we're going to break. Oh, you're jazz handing him. Jazz hands. All right. I want people to have time for that. So we will be back in here at 6:30. There are work-in sessions. We have Tim Flood on how to buy and sell tax properties at 5:30 right here.